Sienna, no, in this world, his name is Eden Hawthorne was not born unwanted. He was made that way. In the Hawthorne family, reputation was everything. Power came from pheromones, status came from bloodlines, and Omega sons were supposed to be prized assets. Especially when they were born as twins. Blake Hawthorne was exactly that. The perfect Omega. Sweet pheromone, stable heat cycles, elegant posture, everything the elite ABO world valued. He was the one their father, Charles Hawthorne, proudly introduced at galas. The one their mother dressed in silk and perfume. And then there was Eden. Eden Hawthorne, Blake's twin brother, was the mistake no one talked about. He had no pheromone. Not weak. Not unstable. Just nothing. In a world where even humans could smell something, Eden was a void. A walking absence. People said standing near him felt wrong. Like something was missing from the air itself. So the Hawthorne family hid him. Not out of shame. Out of calculation. Charles Hawthorne, head of the family, a man who valued profit over blood, made sure Eden disappeared from public view before anyone could start asking questions. Eden was pulled out of Omega Academy, locked inside the estate, and turned into something between a servant and a ghost. Blake replaced him completely. Same face, same height, same voice, but only one of them was allowed to exist. And tonight, that difference was worth exactly $3 million. The debt had been building for months. Charles had gambled, borrowed, and leveraged everything he owned. But the biggest mistake he made was borrowing from the wrong person. Lucian Sterling, Alpha King of the Northern Consortium. Albino Alpha. A man whose pheromone alone could make other alphas submit without a word. And tonight he came to collect. Eden knew something was wrong the moment the house went quiet. Not normal quiet. The kind of silence that pressed against your ears. He was in the kitchen drying dishes when he felt it. Presence. Heavy. Cold. Dominant. Even without pheromones, Eden felt it in his chest. Like something ancient had just stepped into the house. From the narrow gap of the kitchen door, he could see the main hall. His father, Charles Hawthorne, stood stiff, shoulders tense, forcing a smile that didn't reach his eyes. Beside him was his mother, elegant but pale, fingers gripping her dress too tightly. And then the door opened. Lucian Sterling walked in. Tall, pale, white hair like snow under dim light. His presence didn't need to be announced. It filled the entire space instantly. Behind him stood Harrison, his beta, a scarred man with a quiet but dangerous aura. No one spoke at first, because no one needed to. Lucian stepped forward slowly, his gaze sweeping the room once. Calculating. Detached. Charles cleared his throat, forcing control back into his voice. Alpha Sterling. Welcome. We've prepared something worthy of your time. Lucian didn't respond. He didn't even nod. Instead, his eyes shifted slightly, as if searching. Charles swallowed, then signaled. Two staff members stepped forward, struggling to carry a heavy black case. They placed it on the table between them. The sound echoed. Clang. The case opened. Inside, gold. Solid gold bars, stacked tightly, reflecting the chandelier light like something obscene. Eden saw his parents' expressions change instantly. Their eyes lit up. Not with relief, with hunger. Lucian didn't even look at the gold. Charles forced a smile. 3 million. As agreed. Lucian finally spoke, his voice low and calm. You were supposed to pay me, not trade. Charles chuckled nervously. Of course. But I thought perhaps we could offer something better. A merger. My son. He gestured. Blake stepped forward. Perfect posture. Perfect smile. Pheromones soft and inviting, filling the room in a way Eden never could. This is Blake Hawthorne, Charles continued smoothly. A top-tier Omega. Educated, refined, and Lucian didn't react. Not a single change in expression. Blake's smile faltered for half a second. Charles kept going faster now. He would make an excellent partner. A union between our families would benefit. Lucian moved. One step, and then another, but not toward Blake. His head tilted slightly, his eyes narrowed. He inhaled slowly, and then, he turned. directly toward the kitchen. Eden froze. No, 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 no. He stepped back, heart pounding, hands trembling, but it was too late. The door slammed open. Lucien stood there, filling the doorway completely. For a second, neither of them moved. Eden pressed himself against the counter, his back hitting cold steel, nowhere left to go. Lucien stared at him. Not disgust, not curiosity, something sharper, something personal. Eden couldn't breathe. He expected anger, rejection, maybe even violence. Instead, Lucien took one step closer, close enough that Eden had to tilt his head up just to meet his eyes. Up close, Lucien's presence was overwhelming. Even without sensing pheromones, Eden felt it pressing into his bones. Behind them, Charles rushed in, panic in his voice. Alpha Sterling, please, he's nothing. Just staff. A defective Omega. He doesn't even have a scent. I know. Lucien's voice cut him off instantly. Calm. Certain. He didn't look away from Eden. Not even once. Charles faltered. Then Blake is waiting. I'll take him. Silence. Absolute silence. Charles blinked. I beg your pardon? Lucien finally turned his head slightly, just enough to acknowledge him. I said. His voice dropped colder now. I will take him. Charles's face drained of color. But he's useless. He has no pheromone. He can't bond properly. He can't produce heirs. Lucien reached out. Not to Eden. To the table. He pushed the gold case slightly forward. The metal scraped loudly. Then consider this, Lucien said. Payment for something you clearly don't value. The words hit harder than any insult. Charles went silent. Because it was true. He didn't value Eden. Not as a son. Not even as a person. Just as a liability. And now, suddenly, that liability had a price. Eden felt something twist in his chest. Not surprise. Not even anger. Just confirmation. Lucien extended his hand. To Eden. Walk with me. Eden stared at it. This man was dangerous. Everyone knew that. But for the first time in his life, someone had chosen him. Not tolerated. Not hidden. Chosen. Slowly his hand lifted. His fingers touched Lucien's. And the moment they made contact, Lucien's breath hitched. Just for a fraction of a second. So small no one else noticed. But Eden did. Lucien tightened his grip slightly. Good, he murmured. Charles didn't stop them. His mother didn't speak. Blake stood frozen, watching, his perfect expression cracking for the first time. And Eden walked out of that house with nothing. No bag, no goodbye, no past. Just the faint, terrifying feeling that his life hadn't been sold. It had just begun. And behind him, the gold still gleamed on the table. Like proof that his family had never lost anything that night. They had simply traded it away. The moment Eden stepped into the black SUV, the door shut behind him with a heavy, final sound. It didn't feel like getting into a car. It felt like crossing a line he could never go back from. He sat in the far corner of the leather seat, pulling his hands close to his body, trying to make himself smaller out of instinct. Across from him, Harrison, the beta of the Northern Consortium, a tall, scarred man known for enforcing Lucien's orders, closed the opposite door and took the front passenger seat without saying a word. Then Lucien got in. He didn't rush. He didn't speak. He simply sat beside Eden, his presence filling the entire space instantly. Even without pheromones, Eden could feel it. Pressure. Weight. Control. The car started moving. No one spoke. Eden stared at the window, watching the Hawthorne estate fade into the distance. The place he had been trapped in for 18 years disappeared behind iron gates and long shadows. He expected relief, but what he felt instead was nothing, because he didn't know what came next. Minutes passed, maybe longer. Time didn't feel real anymore. Then Lucien spoke. You didn't look back. Eden flinched slightly. His voice came out quiet. There was nothing to look back at. Lucien turned his head, studying him. Not like a buyer checking a product. Not like his father had. Something else. Something Eden couldn't name. You understand your situation? Lucien asked. Eden nodded slowly. I was traded. Wrong. The word was calm, but it landed hard. Eden blinked, confused. Lucien continued, his tone even. You were removed. Eden frowned slightly. That doesn't change anything. Lucien didn't argue, but his gaze lingered longer than it should have, as if he disagreed but wasn't ready to explain why. The car drove in silence again until they reached a private airstrip. A jet was already waiting. Of course it was. Eden followed without being told. He didn't resist. He didn't ask questions. Because what would be the point? Once they were in the air, the distance between them felt even smaller. The cabin was quiet, dimly lit. Harrison remained at the front, handling logistics, leaving Eden alone with Lucien in the main seating area. Eden's body started to react to the cold. His sweater was thin. It always was. His family never wasted good things on him. He tried to ignore it. He rubbed his arms quietly, hoping no one would notice. But Lucien noticed everything. Without a word, Lucien removed his overcoat, a heavy, expensive piece, and placed it over Eden's shoulders. The sudden warmth shocked him. Eden froze. I thank you. Lucien didn't look at him. You're shaking. Eden pulled the coat tighter. It smelled like something clean and sharp. Not sweet. Not overwhelming. Just strong. It made his chest feel strange. He hesitated, then asked the question that had been building since the kitchen. Why me? Lucien didn't answer immediately. Eden forced himself to continue. You had Blake. He's everything an alpha would want. Stable pheromone, high compatibility, perfect background. He swallowed. I have nothing. Lucien finally turned toward him. For the first time, his expression shifted. Not cold. Not detached. Focused. You think I chose wrong? Eden didn't respond. Because from everything he knew. Yes. Lucien exhaled slowly. When I walked into that house, I smelled everything. Eden stayed silent, listening. Perfume. Fear. Greed. Lucien's eyes narrowed slightly. And something missing. Eden's fingers tightened around the coat. Lucien leaned back slightly, his gaze steady. In a room full of pheromones, your absence was louder than anything else. Eden felt his heartbeat pick up. I've never encountered it before, Lucien continued. A complete void. Eden looked down. That's why people avoid me. Lucien's voice dropped slightly. That's why I couldn't ignore you. Silence fell between them again. But this time it was different. He wasn't invisible. He had been noticed. Hours later, the plane landed. The cold hit immediately the moment they stepped outside. This wasn't the South anymore. This was the North. Harsh, controlled, unforgiving. Ahead of them stood the Sterling headquarters, a massive compound that looked more like a corporate fortress than a home. As they approached, the doors opened. Several people were already waiting. High-ranking members of Lucien's organization. All alphas and betas. All powerful. And all staring. Eden felt it immediately. Confusion. Disapproval. Suspicion. A woman stepped forward first. Tall, sharp features, long dark hair. Her posture straight, confident, almost aggressive. This was Rhea, the lead beta enforcer of the Sterling organization. Known for loyalty. Known for ruthlessness. She bowed slightly to Lucien. Alpha. Then her eyes shifted to Eden. Her expression changed instantly. Not fear. Not curiosity. Disdain. What is this? She asked. Not who. What? Eden felt it. That familiar reaction. Lucien didn't stop walking. Sienna. Rhea corrected herself quickly, then frowned. No scent. No presence. Is this a human? Eden stiffened. Lucien stopped. Slowly. The temperature dropped. Not physically. Something else. Lucien turned his head just enough. You will address him properly. Rhea's jaw tightened. With respect, Alpha, this whatever he is has no pheromone. He cannot even register in the system. Bringing him here compromises. Lucien cut her off. Not by raising his voice, but by stepping closer. And suddenly, Rhea couldn't move. Her body locked. Not fear. Dominance. Pure alpha pressure. Even Eden felt it this time. A faint echo of it pressing against his chest. If I hear you question his presence again, Lucien said quietly, you will not have a position left to protect. Ria's composure cracked. She dropped her gaze. Understood, Alpha. Lucien didn't look at her again. Instead, he placed a hand lightly against Eden's back. Not pushing. Guiding. Walk. Eden obeyed. They moved through the hall, past rows of people who were now very careful not to speak. But their eyes followed. Every step. Every movement. Because this didn't make sense. The most powerful Alpha in the north had brought home a scentless Omega. When they reached the upper level, Lucien opened a door. Inside was a private suite. Warm. Quiet. Isolated. This is yours, Lucien said. Eden stepped inside slowly. It was too much. Too clean. Too safe. You won't be disturbed, Lucien continued. Food will be brought. If you need anything, ask for Beatrice, the housekeeper. She answers directly to me. Eden turned back. Why? Lucien paused at the door. Eden's voice tightened slightly. You paid 3 million. You threatened your own people. You brought me here like I matter. His hands clenched. I don't. Lucien didn't answer immediately. His grip on the door tightened. Then he looked at Eden. Really looked at him. For now, Lucien said slowly, you are a possibility. Eden frowned. A possibility of what? Lucien's eyes darkened slightly. Something I'm not ready to confirm yet. He stepped back. One more thing. Eden waited. Lucien's voice dropped, more serious now. Until I'm certain you stay hidden. Eden's chest tightened. From what? Lucien held his gaze. From everyone who would kill you the moment they understand what you are. The door closed. And for the first time since leaving home, Eden realized something far more terrifying than being unwanted. He might actually be dangerous. For the first time in his life, Eden Hawthorne had a room that no one could enter without permission. That should have felt like freedom. But it didn't. It felt like being placed somewhere important without understanding why. 3 days passed. No one came except one person. Beatrice Caldwell, the head housekeeper of the Sterling compound. A strict middle-aged beta woman who managed everything inside the residence. She brought food, clothes, and information, but never stayed long. You should eat more, she said on the second day, placing a tray down. You're too thin. Eden didn't respond. Not because he didn't want to, because he didn't know how. No one had ever cared whether he ate or not. Beatrice noticed. She always noticed. You're not a servant here, she added, her tone softer than before. Try to act like it. Eden looked up slightly. Then what am I? Beatrice paused. Just for a second. Then she shook her head. If the Alpha hasn't told you, it's not my place. That answer didn't help. But it confirmed one thing. Everyone knew something. Except him. Later that night, Eden stood near the window, staring out at the dark forest beyond the compound. Snow had started falling. The cold outside matched the silence inside his chest. He heard the door unlock behind him. He didn't turn immediately, because he already knew who it was. Lucien Sterling. Eden felt it again. That presence. Heavy. Controlled. But tonight there was something different. Unstable. Lucien stepped inside and locked the door behind him. He didn't speak right away. Eden turned slowly. For the first time, Lucien didn't look composed. His white hair was slightly disordered. His breathing wasn't perfectly even. His eyes darker than before. Something was wrong. Lucien, Eden said quietly. Lucien raised a hand immediately. Don't come closer. Eden froze. Not because of the command. Because of the tone. It wasn't cold. It was strained. Lucien took a slow breath, forcing control back into his body. Stay where you are. Eden didn't move. Lucien walked toward the small table near the fireplace and placed a folder down. His movements were precise, but there was tension in every step. You asked me why you're here, Lucien said. Eden nodded. Lucien opened the folder. Because I needed confirmation. Eden frowned. Of what? Lucien didn't answer directly. Instead, he pulled out a document and held it up slightly. A blood analysis. Eden blinked. You tested me? I had to. Eden's chest tightened. And, Lucian's jaw flexed. You are not scentless. The words hit like a shock. Eden stared at him. That's not possible. Lucian stepped closer. One step, then stopped again, as if an invisible line prevented him from going further. Your pheromone system is suppressed, Lucian continued. Completely. Artificially. Eden's mind struggled to catch up. Suppressed how? Lucian's voice dropped, colder now. Poison. Silence. Eden felt something inside him crack. No, he whispered. That doesn't make sense. Lucian's eyes didn't soften. Your blood shows long-term exposure to a synthetic inhibitor, designed to block omega pheromone development at the neurological level. Eden's breathing became uneven. Images flashed in his mind. Childhood. Needles. His mother's voice. It's just vitamins. His father watching. Always watching. Eden's voice broke slightly. They did that to me? Lucian didn't hesitate. Yes. The room felt smaller. Colder. Eden stepped back, his legs hitting the edge of the bed. For 18 years? He asked, barely above a whisper. Lucian nodded once. Eden laughed. But there was no humor in it. So I wasn't broken, he said slowly. I was made useless. Lucian didn't respond. Because there was nothing to argue. Eden looked down at his hands. They could have just ignored me, he continued. Why go that far? Lucian's expression changed. Not softer. Darker. Because you're not ordinary. Eden looked up. Lucian held his gaze. You carry a rare omega genetic line, he said. One that doesn't just attract alphas, it overrides them. Eden frowned, confused. Lucian continued, each word precise. If your pheromones had developed naturally, you wouldn't have been a burden to your father. A pause. You would have replaced him. That was the moment everything shifted. Eden's entire life, rewritten in one sentence. He wasn't hidden because he was weak. He was hidden because he was dangerous. Eden's knees gave slightly. He sat down without realizing it. I spent my whole life thinking I was nothing, he said quietly. Lucian stepped forward instinctively, then stopped again. That invisible line. Again. Eden noticed it this time. You're holding back, Eden said. Lucian's eyes flickered. Eden tilted his head slightly. Why? Lucian didn't answer. Eden stood up. One step forward. Lucian's body tensed instantly. Don't, Lucian said. But Eden didn't stop. Because for the first time, he wasn't afraid. Tell me, Eden said, standing just within reach. Lucian's control snapped for a second. His hand shot out, grabbing Eden's wrist. The contact was immediate. Sharp. Eden gasped. Not from pain. From something else. A reaction. His body responded instantly. Heat. Pressure. Something deep inside him shifting. Lucian froze. His grip tightened slightly. Then loosened. Slowly. Deliberately. As if forcing himself to let go. That, Lucian said, his voice rougher now, is why. Eden's heart was racing. What was that? Lucian stepped back again, putting distance between them. That was a partial bond response, he said. Your system is waking up. Eden stared at him. Because of you? Lucian didn't deny it. Eden swallowed. So what am I to you? Lucian held his gaze. Longer this time. More honest. You might be my mate. The word hung in the air. Heavy. Final. Eden's breath caught. Might? He asked. Lucian nodded once. I won't confirm it until your pheromones fully activate. Eden took that in. Then asked the question that mattered more. And if you're right? Lucian's expression darkened again. Then you become a target. Eden frowned. Why? Lucian's voice dropped. Because an unawakened mate to an alpha like me, he said slowly, is the easiest way to destroy me. Eden felt it again. That shift. This wasn't about him anymore. This was bigger. If they find out, Lucian continued, they won't challenge me directly. A pause. They'll kill you. Silence filled the room. Eden didn't move. Didn't speak. Because now he understood. Why he was hidden. Why he was protected. Why Lucien kept his distance. Not because Eden was weak, but because he was the most vulnerable point in a war he didn't even know existed. Lucien stepped back toward the door. One last thing, he said. Eden looked up. Lucien's voice steadied again. Controlled. Cold. Do not leave this room without permission. Eden frowned. And if I do? Lucien met his eyes. Then I won't be able to protect you. The door opened, then closed, and Eden stood there alone again. But this time, he wasn't the invisible Omega anymore. He was something far more dangerous. Something people would kill for, or kill to destroy. And somewhere deep inside his chest, for the first time in his life, something began to wake up. Eden didn't sleep that night. Not because he couldn't, but because his entire life had just been rewritten in a single conversation. Poisoned. Not broken. Not defective. Engineered. He sat on the edge of the bed, staring at his hands like they belonged to someone else. Every memory felt different now. Every moment from his childhood twisted into something darker. The vitamins. The weekly injections. His mother's soft voice telling him to be patient. His father watching quietly from the doorway. It wasn't care. It was control. The door opened the next morning. Beatrice stepped in, carrying a tray like usual. But the moment she saw Eden's face, she stopped. You didn't sleep, she said. Eden didn't answer. Beatrice placed the tray down slowly. He told you. It wasn't a question. Eden nodded once. Beatrice sighed, pulling a chair closer. I wondered how long he would wait. Eden finally spoke. You knew. I suspected, she replied. You don't survive in this place without learning to notice what doesn't make sense. Eden let out a quiet breath. Then tell me something that does. Beatrice leaned forward slightly, her tone more serious now. What you are is not common. Eden frowned. Lucien said something about a rare Omega. Beatrice nodded. Royal Omega. Extremely rare. Their pheromones don't just attract alphas. They override them. Eden looked confused. Override. Suppress. Control. Command. Beatrice said. An alpha near a fully awakened Royal Omega can lose control of their own instincts. Eden's expression tightened. That sounds like a threat. It is, Beatrice said simply. To anyone who wants power. Eden leaned back slightly. So my father knew. Beatrice didn't hesitate. Your father is not a stupid man. Eden let out a humorless laugh. No, just a cruel one. Silence settled between them. Then Eden asked the question that had been sitting in his chest since last night. Why didn't they just kill me? Beatrice didn't answer immediately. Because this one mattered. Because they couldn't, she said finally. Eden looked up sharply. Royal Omega genetics are unstable before awakening, she explained. Trying to eliminate you early could have triggered a biological backlash. Unpredictable. Dangerous. Eden's eyes widened slightly. They didn't want to risk it, Beatrice continued. So they chose the safer option. Break me instead. Eden finished quietly. Beatrice didn't deny it. Eden looked down again. Everything made sense now. Too much sense. Before he could say anything else, the door opened again. Lucien stepped in. And immediately the atmosphere shifted. Beatrice stood up at once. Alpha. Lucien nodded slightly. Leave us. She didn't argue. She walked out, closing the door behind her. Now it was just the two of them again. Eden didn't move this time. Lucien stepped further inside, his expression controlled, but his eyes sharper than before. How do you feel? He asked. Eden let out a quiet breath. Like my entire life was a lie. Lucien didn't try to soften it. It was. Eden nodded slowly. Beatrice told me about Royal Omegas. Lucien's gaze flickered slightly. Then you understand the situation. Eden met his eyes. I understand why they destroyed me. Lucien took another step forward. And you understand why I won't let them continue. Eden held his gaze. There it was again. That strange tension. Not just power. Something more personal. Why? Eden asked. Lucien didn't hesitate this time. Because you are not a resource, he said. You are not leverage. You are not a weapon. A brief pause. You are someone they tried to erase. Eden's chest tightened. Lucien's voice dropped slightly. And I don't tolerate waste. Eden almost smiled. Almost. You have a strange way of caring, he said. Lucien didn't deny it, because he wasn't used to calling it that. Eden shifted slightly. What happens now? Lucien didn't answer immediately, because the truth wasn't simple. Now, Lucien said slowly, we wait. Eden frowned. For what? Lucien's eyes darkened. For your system to recover. Eden's stomach tightened. And when it does? Lucien held his gaze. It will hurt. The words landed heavy. Eden didn't look away. How bad? Lucien didn't soften it. Your body has been suppressed for 18 years, he said. When it starts functioning again, it won't be gradual. A pause. It will be violent. Eden's fingers curled slightly. Lucien continued. Your pheromones will spike. Your nervous system will overload. Your instincts will activate all at once. Eden swallowed. And you're just going to watch? Lucien's jaw tightened. No. One word. Firm. Eden studied him. Then what? Lucien stepped closer again. Closer than before. This time he didn't stop immediately. I'll make sure you survive it. Eden felt that again. That pull. Stronger now. More dangerous. Lucien, he said quietly. Lucien froze. That invisible line again. Eden noticed it clearly now. You keep stopping yourself, Eden said. Lucien's eyes narrowed slightly. Eden tilted his head. Why? Lucien exhaled slowly. Because the bond is reacting faster than expected. Eden frowned. Meaning? Lucien looked at him directly. If I let it progress naturally right now, you won't be able to handle it. Eden didn't fully understand. But he felt it. Something between them. Pulling. Building. Unavoidable. So what do we do? Eden asked. Lucien answered without hesitation. We don't complete it. Eden blinked. You're choosing not to? Lucien's voice dropped. I'm choosing control. Silence. Heavy. Real. Eden stared at him. For the first time, he saw it. Lucien wasn't holding back because he didn't want him. He was holding back because he did. Before Eden could respond, a sudden sharp pain hit his chest. He gasped, stumbling slightly. His hand pressed against his sternum. What? Another wave hit. Stronger. Hot. Spreading. Lucien moved instantly. This time he didn't stop. He caught Eden before he fell. Eden's body tensed in his grip. Heat surged through him. Not normal. Not controlled. Raw. What's happening? Eden asked, breath uneven. Lucien's expression hardened. It's starting. Eden's grip tightened on his shirt. Already? Lucien nodded once. Your system is waking up. Eden's breathing became unstable. His body felt wrong. Too hot. Too aware. Too sensitive. Lucien adjusted his hold, supporting him without pulling him closer than necessary. Stay with me, Lucien said. Eden let out a shaky breath. I don't think I have a choice. Lucien's voice dropped. You do. Eden looked up at him. And for the first time, he didn't see an alpha. He saw someone standing between him and something far worse. Lucien steadied him carefully. This is only the beginning, he said. Eden's chest rose and fell rapidly. How long does it last? Lucien didn't lie. Until your body remembers what it was meant to be. Eden closed his eyes for a second, then opened them again. Stronger. More aware. Then don't leave, he said. Lucien didn't answer. But he didn't move either. And that was enough. Because outside that room, everything was already shifting. And inside Eden, something powerful had finally started to wake up. The change didn't happen slowly. It hit Eden all at once. By midnight, his entire body was burning. Not a normal fever. Something deeper. His skin felt too tight. His breathing uneven. His senses distorted like his body didn't belong to him anymore. Every sound was louder. Every movement sharper. And somewhere beneath all of it, something was trying to break free. Eden gripped the sheets, his knuckles turning white. Sweat soaked through his shirt. his chest rising too fast to keep control. Across the room, Lucien didn't move. He stood near the window at first, watching. Not cold. Not detached. Focused. Measuring every change. Because he knew exactly what this was. Eden, Lucien said, voice low but steady. Look at me. Eden forced his eyes open. It was hard to focus. But he found him. Lucien stepped closer. Slow. Careful. Like approaching something unstable. Your system is activating, Lucien continued. Don't fight it blindly. Eden let out a strained breath. Easy for you to say. Another wave hit. Stronger. His body arched slightly, fingers tightening against the mattress. This isn't just pain, Eden said through clenched teeth. It feels like. He stopped, because he didn't know how to describe it. Lucien finished for him. Like your body is trying to respond to something it hasn't felt in years. Eden swallowed, because that was exactly it. And worse, that something was Lucien. Eden's eyes flickered toward him again. And the moment their gazes locked, the reaction spiked. His breathing hitched sharply. His fingers dug into the sheets. Lucien noticed immediately, and stepped back. One step, creating distance. The reaction eased slightly. Eden realized it instantly. This is because of you, he said, voice unsteady. Lucien didn't deny it. Yes. Eden let out a breath that was almost a laugh. So the closer you are, the worse it gets? Lucien corrected him. The stronger it gets. That difference mattered. Eden looked at him again. This time slower. More aware. And you're just going to stay over there? Eden asked. Lucien's jaw tightened. I'm trying not to overwhelm you. Eden shook his head slightly, despite the dizziness. You're not overwhelming me. Another wave hit. Harder. Eden gasped, his body tensing as heat spread through his chest and down his spine. Lucien moved instinctively, then stopped. That invisible line again. Always there. Eden saw it now, clear as anything. You're doing it again, Eden said, breath uneven. Stopping yourself. Lucien's voice dropped. Because if I don't, this won't stay under control. Eden didn't fully understand. But his body did. Because every time Lucien stepped closer, something inside him responded. Not fear. Not pain. Something else. Something dangerous. Eden shifted, forcing himself to sit up. The room tilted slightly. Lucien moved immediately this time, catching him before he fell. Their bodies were close. Too close. Eden's breath hitched again. Stronger reaction. Lucien froze. For a split second, his control slipped. His grip tightened. Eden felt it. Not just physically. Something deeper. A pull. Connection. Lucien, Eden whispered. Lucien's breathing changed. Barely. But enough. He pulled his hand back. Slowly. Deliberately. Like it cost him something. You need distance, Lucien said. Eden grabbed his sleeve. Not hard. But enough to stop him. Don't. Lucien's eyes snapped to him. Eden's voice was quieter now. But clearer. If you leave, it gets worse. Lucien didn't move. Eden swallowed. I don't understand what's happening, he admitted. But I know this. When you're here, it doesn't feel like I'm breaking. That hit harder than anything else. Lucien's expression shifted. Something restrained. Something real. He didn't pull away. But he didn't step closer either. He stayed exactly where he was. Balanced. Controlled. That was the line he chose. I'll stay, Lucien said. Eden exhaled slowly. That was enough. For now. Outside that room, everything was already falling apart. Rhea stood in the lower corridor, watching Beatrice move back and forth with supplies. Her expression was tight, controlled, but her thoughts were not. Rhea Sterling wasn't just a beta. She was Lucien's closest enforcer. The one who had built half this organization with him. The one who had stood beside him for years. And now, everything was changing. Because of one Omega. One scentless, unstable, unknown Omega. He hasn't left that floor, Rhea said quietly. The man beside her nodded. This was Marcus, another beta officer under her command. Younger but loyal. No, Marcus replied. 3 days. Ria's eyes darkened. He never isolates like this. Marcus hesitated. Maybe it's temporary. Ria shook her head. No. Her voice hardened. This isn't temporary. She looked up toward the upper levels. That thing is affecting him. Marcus lowered his voice. You think it's a bond? Ria didn't answer immediately, because she didn't want it to be true, but everything pointed to it. He brought him back personally, she said slowly. He protects him. He hides him. He reacts differently around him. A pause. That's not strategy. Marcus's expression shifted slightly. Then what do we do? Ria's gaze turned cold. We remove the variable. Marcus frowned. You mean? I mean we confirm what he is. Ria cut in. And if it's what I think. Her eyes sharpened. We don't let it develop. Marcus hesitated. Ria, if you're wrong. I'm not wrong, she snapped. Then her voice lowered again. Controlled. Dangerous. Lucian built this empire on control. Not instinct. She looked back toward the upper floor. And I won't let 1 Omega destroy that. Marcus nodded slowly. What's the plan? Ria didn't hesitate. We call Darius. Marcus stiffened. That name meant something. Alpha Darius Wright, Lucian's longtime rival. Brutal. Opportunistic. Always waiting for weakness. That's dangerous, Marcus said. Ria's lips pressed into a thin line. So is doing nothing. She turned away. Decision made. If Lucian is compromised, she said, we end this before it spreads. Back upstairs, Eden's condition worsened. His body was still burning, still reacting. But now, there was something else. A rhythm. A pulse. Not his heartbeat. Something underneath it. Lucian noticed it immediately. His eyes narrowed slightly. Eden. Eden forced his eyes open. What? Lucian stepped closer. Just enough. What you're feeling now, he said. That second pulse. Eden nodded weakly. That's your system stabilizing. Eden swallowed. It doesn't feel stable. Lucian almost smiled. Good. Eden frowned slightly. Lucian's voice dropped. Because that means it's real. Eden didn't understand. Not yet. But he felt it. Something inside him. No longer silent. No longer empty. Something was coming. And neither of them knew how far it would go. But one thing was already certain. This wasn't just awakening. It was the beginning of something much bigger. And outside that room, someone was already preparing to destroy it. The storm hit just before midnight. Wind slammed against the compound walls, snow swallowing the outer grounds in minutes. Visibility dropped to almost nothing. Power flickered once, then stabilized. Inside, alarms didn't go off. That was the first problem. Because in a place like this, alarms always went off. Upstairs, Eden was barely aware of it. His body was still burning, but it had changed. The pain wasn't chaotic anymore. It had rhythm now. That second pulse inside his chest. Stronger, louder, more controlled. He sat upright on the bed, breathing uneven but steady enough to think. Lucian stood nearby, watching. Not relaxed. Not even close. He had felt it too. Something was coming. Something's wrong, Lucian said. Eden frowned slightly. You felt it. Lucian nodded once. Then, a distant sound. A scream. Not loud, but sharp. Cut off too quickly. Lucian's entire posture shifted instantly. Predator. Stay here, he ordered. Eden grabbed his sleeve. Don't. Lucian turned back. Eden's grip tightened slightly. If you leave, I don't know what happens to this. He wasn't talking about the pain anymore. Lucian understood. He hesitated. Just for a second. Then his expression hardened again. I'll end it fast. Eden didn't let go. Lucian looked down at his hand. Then back at his face. And something in that moment changed. Lucian reached up and gently removed Eden's grip. Trust me. Then he left. The door shut. Locked. Eden was alone. For 5 seconds. Then, the door exploded inward. Wood shattered across the floor. Eden jerked back instinctively. A man stepped through the debris. Tall. Broad. dark hair, cold eyes filled with intent. This was Alpha Darius Wright, Lucian's rival, known across territories for tearing down weaker alphas and taking their domains. Behind him, Rhea, her expression calm, satisfied. So this is it, Darius said, scanning Eden from head to toe. The Alpha King's weakness. Eden's chest tightened. Not from fear, from something else. That pulse again. Stronger. Get out, Eden said. His voice sounded different, layered. Darius smirked. You don't give orders here. He stepped closer. Eden felt it immediately. Pressure. Heavy alpha dominance. But it didn't crush him. It pushed against something inside him. Something that pushed back. Darius noticed. His smirk faded slightly. Interesting. Rhea stepped forward, pulling a blade from her boot. A silver-edged dagger. Designed to cut through Omega resistance. If he dies, she said calmly. Lucian breaks. Eden's eyes locked onto her. And for the first time, he understood. Not confusion. Not fear. Betrayal. You planned this, he said. Rhea didn't deny it. You were never meant to exist here. She moved. Fast. Blade aimed straight for his chest. Everything slowed down. Eden saw it. The angle. The distance. The intent. And something inside him finally snapped. Not pain. Not fear. Release. The second pulse exploded. A surge ripped through his body. Hot. Sharp. Violent. His breath cut off. Then came out. Not as a scream. As pressure. Invisible. But overwhelming. The air in the room changed instantly. Heavy. Crushing. Dominant. Rhea froze mid-step. Her arm stopped. The blade slipped from her fingers. Clang. Darius staggered. One step back. Then another. What? His voice cut off. Because he couldn't breathe properly. Eden stood up. Slowly. His movements steady now. Controlled. His eyes sharper. Clearer. Different. The pressure kept building. Not wild. Not chaotic. Focused. Directed. Rhea dropped to one knee. Her body shaking. Not by choice. Submission. Forced. Darius tried to resist. He pushed back. Alpha against. Something else. Something stronger. His legs buckled slightly. What are you? He demanded. Eden didn't answer. Because he didn't need to. The answer was already in the air. Royal Omega. Fully awakened. Darius growled, forcing himself forward. He shifted strategy instantly. Tech. If dominance didn't work, kill. He lunged. At the same time, the wall behind him shattered. Lucian crashed through. Fast. Violent. Precise. He hit Darius mid-motion, slamming him across the room. The impact cracked the floor beneath them. They didn't pause. Didn't speak. Two alphas colliding in pure force. Darius recovered quickly, striking back. But something was wrong. His movements were slower, less controlled. Because Eden was still there. Still standing. Still releasing that pressure. Lucian noticed it immediately. His eyes flickered toward Eden. Just once. Understanding everything. Then he moved. Faster. Sharper. He used the opening. Locked onto Darius. One clean motion. A strike to the throat. A twist. Crack. Silence. Darius collapsed. Dead. The room went still. Except for Eden. The pressure remained. Heavy. Unforgiving. Rhea couldn't move. Still on her knees. Still shaking. Eden turned toward her. One step. She flinched. Actual fear now. Not arrogance. Not control. Fear. I told you to leave, Eden said quietly. Rhea couldn't respond. Her voice failed. Because now, she understood. She hadn't misjudged him. She had underestimated him. Completely. Eden stopped in front of her. He didn't touch her. Didn't need to. Get out, he said. This time, it wasn't a request. Rhea forced herself to move. Barely. Dragging herself backward. Out of the room. Out of his presence. The moment she crossed the doorway, the pressure lifted. Suddenly. Like it had never been there. Eden's legs gave out. Lucian caught him instantly. This time, he didn't hold back. Eden's breathing was uneven again. But not from pain. From the aftermath. What was that? Eden whispered. Lucien looked at him. No hesitation. No doubt. That, Lucien said, is what they were afraid of. Eden's grip tightened weakly on his shirt. Lucien adjusted his hold. Closer. Stronger. You didn't break, Lucien added. Eden's eyes flickered. No, he said quietly. I didn't. Outside the room. Footsteps. Voices. The rest of the compound reacting. But inside, everything had already changed. Because the balance of power was no longer the same. And for the first time, the Alpha King wasn't the most dangerous presence in the room. Eden was. The storm didn't stop that night. But inside the Sterling compound, everything had already changed. By the time the doors to the main hall opened, every high-ranking member of the Northern Consortium was already gathered. Alphas, betas, enforcers, all of them had felt it. That pressure. That moment when something new, something stronger had taken over the system they thought they understood. At the center of the hall stood Lucien Sterling, Alpha King, unquestioned authority. Except, not anymore, because beside him was Eden Hawthorne, the Omega they brought in as nothing, the one with no pheromone, now standing upright, calm, fully aware, and impossible to ignore. His presence wasn't loud. It didn't flood the room the way typical Omega pheromones did. Pressed, quiet, heavy, like something watching from underneath everything else. No one spoke, because no one knew how to. Harrison, Lucien's beta and second in command, the one who handled external operations and enforcement, stood at the front, his gaze locked on Eden. He was the first to move. He stepped forward. Then, he dropped to one knee, head lowered, complete submission. The room shifted instantly. One by one, others followed. Not slowly, not hesitantly, immediately, because instinct didn't lie. And instinct told them, this Omega was not beneath them, not even equal, something else entirely. Eden didn't react, not outwardly, but inside, everything was still adjusting. This was new, all of it. Lucien didn't speak either. He let them see it, let them understand. Then, footsteps echoed from the far end. Rhea. She entered slowly, no longer composed, no longer confident. She stopped at the edge of the hall. Her eyes went to Eden immediately, then to Lucien, then back to Eden. Everything she believed, broken in one night. Lucien's voice cut through the silence. Rhea Sterling. She flinched slightly. That alone told everyone enough. Step forward. She obeyed, because she had no choice. Every instinct in her body was already compromised. She stopped several feet away, didn't kneel, but didn't stand straight either. Lucien didn't raise his voice. He didn't need to. You brought an external alpha into my territory, he said calmly. You breached security protocols. You attempted to assassinate a protected individual. Each word was precise, measured, final. Rhea swallowed, then spoke. Because you were compromised. The room tightened. Lucien's eyes narrowed slightly. Rhea continued, her voice steadier now. You isolated yourself. You ignored protocol. You brought in an Omega that doesn't follow system rules. You decided that gave you the right to act. Lucien cut her off. Rhea didn't deny it. Yes. Silence. Heavy. Lucien stepped aside. Just slightly. Giving space. Not for himself. For Eden. All eyes shifted. Because this was no longer his decision. Eden understood immediately. He stepped forward. Slow. Controlled. Rhea's body tensed. Not fear of Lucien. Fear of him. Eden stopped in front of her. Close enough. You thought I was a mistake, Eden said. Rhea didn't answer. Because she had. You thought removing me would fix him. Still silence. Eden tilted his head slightly. And now, Rhea's jaw tightened. Then, she dropped to her knees. Not forced this time. Chosen. I was wrong. The words came out low. Tight. But real. Eden studied her. Then looked around. At everyone. All watching. All waiting. This wasn't just about punishment. It was about position, power, authority. Eden looked back at Rhea. You don't follow me, he said. Rhea's eyes flickered. Confusion. Then realization. Eden continued. You follow him. He glanced back at Lucien. Then returned his gaze to her. And you broke that. Rhea lowered her head. Because there was no argument. Eden stepped back. Decision made. You leave. Rhea looked up sharply. Eden didn't raise his voice. But it carried. Not dead. Not executed. Pause. Exiled. The words settled over the room. Final. Lucien didn't interrupt. Didn't correct. Because he agreed. Rhea's shoulders dropped slightly. Not relief. But acceptance. That's fair, she said quietly. Eden didn't respond. He turned away. And that was it. Harrison stepped forward, signaling 2 enforcers. They moved immediately. Rhea didn't resist. She didn't look back. Because she already knew. There was nothing left for her here. The doors closed behind her. And with that, the last threat inside the compound was gone. Later that night, the hall emptied. Only 2 people remained. Lucien and Eden. No audience. No pressure. No roles. Just them. Eden stood near the center, his posture relaxed for the first time. Lucien watched him quietly, then stepped forward. No hesitation this time. No invisible line. Because everything had already crossed it. You handled that well, Lucien said. Eden shrugged slightly. It made sense. Lucien studied him. You're not what they tried to make you. Eden let out a quiet breath. I know that now. Silence. Then, Eden looked at him directly. So what happens next? Lucien didn't answer immediately. Because this part mattered more than anything else. He stepped closer. Close enough. No reaction this time. No instability. Just balance. The bond is complete, Lucien said. Eden felt it. Not overwhelming. Not painful. Present. Real. And, Eden asked. Lucien held his gaze. And I don't claim what doesn't choose me. The words landed differently. Eden frowned slightly. You could, he said. No one would stop you. Lucien didn't deny it. But I won't. Silence. For a moment, Eden just looked at him. Everything that had happened. Everything that changed. All leading here. You waited, Eden said. Lucien nodded once. Eden took a step forward. Closing the last distance. Not pulled. Not forced. Chosen. That matters, Eden said quietly. Lucien's expression softened. Just slightly. Enough. Eden lifted his hand. Placed it against Lucien's chest. This time, no hesitation. No reaction spike. Just connection. I'm not staying because I have nowhere else to go, Eden said. Lucien didn't move. Didn't interrupt. I'm staying because I choose to. That was it. That was the difference. Lucien raised his hand. Rested it lightly over Eden's. Then stay, he said. No command. No claim. Just invitation. Eden nodded once. And the bond settled fully. Not as ownership. Not as control. But as something equal. By morning, the entire Northern Consortium had already adjusted. Not because they wanted to. Because they had to. Eden Hawthorne was no longer the scentless Omega hidden in a kitchen. He was Eden Sterling. Royal Omega. Luna. And not behind the Alpha. Beside him. Far away in a holding facility, Charles Hawthorne watched the news reports. Financial crimes exposed. Assets seized. Everything gone. He didn't understand how it happened so fast. He didn't understand how everything collapsed overnight. But somewhere deep down, he knew. Because the one thing he threw away was the only thing that could have saved him. Back in the north, Eden stood at the edge of the balcony, looking out over the territory. Not hiding. Not invisible. Lucien stood beside him. Silent. Steady. And for the first time in his life, Eden didn't feel like something missing. He felt like something found. And this time, no one was going to erase him again. And that's how the Omega they sold for gold became the one the entire world bowed to. Eden was never broken. He was hidden, suppressed, and underestimated. But in the end, he chose his own place, his own power, and the one alpha who never tried to own him. If you enjoyed this story, don't forget to like, subscribe, and share to support the channel. Your support helps bring more intense, emotional stories like this to life. Thanks for listening, and I'll see you in the next story.